Let's talk now to my guest, Levy Ndou, who is here, political analyst, to just give us an analysis on what we are seeing. Levy, some concerning things, coming out from the ground in terms of voting stations, reporting some irregularities as far as the IEC is concerned. I mean, there was a party member here, who also said that they couldn't find their name on the ballot, on one of the ballots, which is a huge thing if indeed it is true. We've yet to speak to the IEC about that. But what are some of the things that you are picking up on the ground in terms of these elections?
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. I think one must start by picking it up by saying that there are instances where the IEC had to make a request that maybe the elections should be postponed. You will recall the Museneke Commission, the court cases, and of course there were other political parties that said we don't have to continue with the elections. But because we respect our democracy and the institutions that are created to strengthen our democracy and the principle of the separation of powers, we had to find ourselves in this situation. Maybe the situation that we find ourselves in might be caused by the lack of planning or the IEC having to rush into doing things. But it's quite unfortunate that we've got this kind of instances, and at least I hope the IEC would have ways and means to be able to deal with these situations. But what I've also picked up is the situation where it is alleged that there is an IEC official or someone who has been found with marked ballot papers. One wouldn't have expected such things to happen. You also have got instances where there are protests. You have got citizens who are preventing other voters to go to participate in the elections. They might be exercising their rights to protest and raising genuine concerns. But I think it's important that when you exercise your right, you don't have to infringe on other people's rights. The fight for South Africans to have the right to vote has been a long one. And I think it's quite unfair to have citizens having to deny other citizens this right to vote.
But of course the concern comes in terms of just people watching the developments and seeing what's happening. Some people have said that their voting stations opened late. Some of them ran out of ballot papers. This is the sixth local government election that the IEC is handling. We know that, going into the sixth election, of course, the timing, the planning, as you say, was shortened dramatically. But these are some of the things that one would expect not to happen. But do you think in any way these will affect the integrity of the outcome of these elections in any way?
Well, I think it's important to note that the IEC has a constitutional mandate to deliver open, transparent, fair, and credible elections. And when you have situations where elections are tainted, like what is starting to happen now, it then becomes a big problem on the IEC. But obviously we need to look at the extent or the volume of these kind of concerns that are actually coming. But normally we wouldn't expect any form of disturbances or anything that will affect the credibility of the elections. And if you look at the track record of the IEC in South Africa, this institution has been doing very well since 1994. And when you start having this kind of developments, it has to be quite worrying, and one would expect the IEC
I'd like you to pause there.